Hi guys and ladies, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we are going to do a conversation on Tom Ford's Oud Wood. And a couple things have kind of sparked this. Number one, look at my bottle. I've almost finished a bottle. Do you know what an accomplishment that is when you have a collection like this? Now, to be fair, this fragrance is a special fragrance, and it's special more for personal reasons for me, not so much because I think it's a super special fragrance because of the way it's built, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is I wore this when my daughter was born. This was my scent of the day on the day she was born. And also, if you asked my wife what's her favorite fragrance for me to wear out of everything, it would be this, or it would be this. Aventus. Oud Wood or Aventus, the two most hyped fragrances, maybe in the last decade. These are the two most hyped fragrances. If you go to Parfumo and look up Oud Wood, it says this is the top this is in the top 4 of men's perfumes as far as popularity goes. And if you look up Aventus, it says that it is in the top 6. So as it stands right now, Oud Wood is more popular than Aventus. Go figure. But I wanted to structure this conversation more around oud and what it means in designer perfumes. If you watched me hopping on Eugene's stream, or attempting to hop on Eugene's stream, it took me a couple tries, but I eventually got it, a couple days ago, we had a conversation around Western oud, and, do you like it? What is it? Can you wear it? Stuff like that. So I thought I would just maybe take that conversation from the stream and make an extension of it to my channel and talk a little bit about this topic, because it is something that comes up pretty regularly. A lot of people want to know, can you wear Western ouds and stuff like that? And obviously, as you can see, I can wear it, but I'm cognizant of what it is and what it isn't. First of all, this is the greatest cardamom fragrance ever, okay? This is the greatest cardamom fragrance ever. This is not the greatest oud fragrance ever. Now, Tom Ford, let's go back through history. Let's take a little history lesson. Tom Ford was the creative director for a little house called YSL, you may have heard of. And when he was the creative director, he released this little devil. This is called M7. And as you can see, this is a tester bottle, so I don't have the little black cap that goes on top, but I do have the notes on the back. And as you can see, it is bergamot, agarwood, which is oud, or the tree that produces oud, vetiver, and amber. And this is regarded as the first oud perfume. Now, some people say Balenciaga Pour Homme had oud in it in 1990. That's a frag-com argument that will never be solved, probably. But this was 2002, if I'm not mistaken. They then re-released it in the little square bottle and called it M7 Oud Absolu in 2011. Now, Tom Ford left YSL over many different reasons, but he ended up starting his own brand, and in 2007, when he launched the Private Blend collection, this was one of the first ones to come out along with Tuscan Leather. Two of the most popular, and Tobacco Vanille, I think, and stuff like that. And Oud Wood kind of took on a life of its own, because what has happened in the perfume world is that over the last 10 to 15 years, there's been a lot of substances that have been banned, right? So, for example, one of my favorite perfumers of all time, his name is Jean Carlio, and he was the in-house perfumer for Patou, for the house of Jean Patou, for decades, many a years. In fact, he went on to found the Osmotek in France, which is like the perfume archives, if you will. And it ended up getting national funding from the French government and stuff like that. But he started the project before it got national funding. So he is an iconic figure. And his old perfumes, when he was at the helm of Jean Patou, are highly, highly sought after. If you wanted to go buy a bottle of Patou Pour Homme right now, for example, you are going to spend $1,000 if you want a full bottle. And you're going to pay normal prices, unless you're just ultra lucky or, you know, whatever. Most people are going to pay $1,000. If you want Patou Pour Homme Privé, which is like a flanker, you're going to pay $800, $700, $900. Insane high prices for old perfume. You can still find some of his old work that has the signature touches that make it so popular for old collectors. Like Ma Liberté is still pretty cheap. That's one of my favorites. I have an Eau de Parfum bottle of that, and Ma Liberté is just beautiful. But the reason that people like his fragrances so much is, number one, it was really, truly fine French perfumery. But number two, the ingredients and his masterful blending, right? And so what you get in old Jean Patou fragrances is you get tons of oak moss galore in Patou Pour Homme. And you get one other special ingredient, which is now banned, and that's called Mysore sandalwood. Well, I take that back. It's not banned, but it is heavily regulated by the Indian government, because what ended up happening is, over the last 20, 30, 40 years, this planet has had a bit of a population explosion, as you know. And there's a lot of people living on Earth. And now there is a lot of demand for things like Mysore sandalwood, oak moss, all this kind of stuff. Now, the Mysore sandalwood is the real endangered one. So they started planting stuff like Australian sandalwood and other things like that to keep up the demand. But the Indian government said, wait a minute, if we don't stop people from harvesting Mysore sandalwood to be used in cosmetic fragrances, it'll be extinct. There won't be any more Mysore sandalwood left. So they put almost like an immediate halt on it, and they heavily limited the amount that can be used to try to make the you know, Mysore sandalwood forest start to grow back, right? Well, once it got halted and you can't use it anymore, well, what happens? The perfumer's palette has to change. What I mean by that is the ingredients that a perfumer who's going to make a perfume has to switch. And Rudy and Rich Mitch, two members in the fragrance family, if you will, they did some research a while back, and they found out that right around the early 2001 is when Mysore sandalwood stopped being used in perfume. It's funny because my bottle of Samsara, which is actually known for its high sandalwood, Mysore sandalwood in the old days concentration, is from exactly 2001. So I either got one of the last batches that had it. It's from June of 2001. UK031 is my batch. So I either got the last batch that has it, or I got one of the first ones that doesn't have it. Either way, I'm saying all this to say, I know we're taking a winding road here, but stay with me. I'm going to try to put a bow on it at the end and tie it all together. I say all this to say that 2001, the fragrance world really changed. They couldn't use Mysore sandalwood in high-end ingredients. They had to get the public to kind of look elsewhere, right? We're talking Western public here, because oud has been used in the Middle East for thousands of years. There's nothing new about that. So what came out in 2002? M7, an oud fragrance, right? And the road to building up Western noses and focus on oud began. And in 2007, this little devil came out, Oud Wood. Now, Oud Wood, before I get into Oud Wood, let me keep talking real quick about this oud. So here's a couple oud fragrances, right? Number one is New York Oud by Bond Number 9. And I love these fragrances. I'm not saying I don't like them, because I do. I actually enjoy wearing these fragrances, but we have a $350 fragrance, a fragrance that's discontinued and sells for $500 online now, a fragrance that's discontinued and sells for $500 online now, and we have a $10 fragrance from One Man Show Oud Edition. Now, unless these companies specifically say they use oud in their, real oud in their perfume, because trust me, real oud is also a very expensive ingredient. Real oud is something that's really to be sought after. It's not cheap to use real oud in industrial processes where you're pumping out gallons of this stuff. Remember who owns Tom Ford. Estee Lauder owns Tom Ford. And they also own another little company called Frederick Malle. And Frederick Malle makes this little fragrance called The Night. Now this, they market heavily as real oud. They sell this for $350. They sell this for $1,000, $2,000 sometimes, depending on the size of the bottle. But you can see the difference in marketing. So what is oud that we're smelling? 99.9% of oud fragrances that are released, no matter what it is, whether it's a high-end Tom Ford, or whether it is One Man Show Oud Edition that costs $10, they all pretty much use the same synthetic oud molecules. It's about the blend, it's about the marketing, it's about the way that it's presented to the public. Because unless you're one of the 1,000 subscribers to Channel Ramsey, we're not at 1,000 yet, but hopefully soon, or you're a big fragrance connoisseur, right? And you're into this stuff, you're probably not going to realize that there's no real oud in Oud Wood. Unless they say there is, which let me take that back. Don't sue me, Estee Lauder. I haven't heard Estee Lauder say there's any real oud in this, okay? If they say it, it's true. There's oud. If they say it, it has to be true. Otherwise, they would be held liable for misrepresenting their product. Which I know they don't want to do, because they have teams of lawyers that pore over this stuff. So I'm pretty sure, okay, to my nose, it doesn't smell like there's any real oud here. But if there is, maybe there's the tiniest drop. That's another trick that they do. They'll put the tiniest drop of real oud in, and they'll say, oh, we have real oud, and the rest is 99% Givaudan, IFF, Robertet, oud synthetic materials that they blend with. And because they trained Western noses on synthetic oud from the get-go, see, if you took somebody from the 1980s who loved fragrances that had real Mysore sandalwood in it, right? Real Mysore sandalwood. And you gave them the synthetic stuff. If you gave them, you know, something that, I'm trying to think of the material. There's a couple synthetic sandalwood materials that are on the tip of my tongue, and I just can't think of it. I'm not a perfumer, by the way. So this stuff is all kind of like a new language to me. But if you took some synthetic sandalwood material and put it in a perfume, and while that material may be beautiful, someone who's really into the hobby, who really knows their stuff, would be able to spot it in an instant. It would be 1 second. They would be able to tell you there's real Mysore sandalwood in this, or there is some sort of synthetic molecule making up the Mysore sandalwood accord, making up the sandalwood accord. So I just say all that to say that they took us down this path, even from the get-go. They took us down this path that trained us on synthetic oud. I don't think there's any real oud in this. I don't think YSL, you know, was pumping out real oud fragrance to the masses in 2002. I think this is a fantastic fragrance. I love it. I love wearing it. I feel special wearing it because very few people get a chance to wear this nowadays. I love that cola accord opening. In fact, I think Roja Dove even used it as a sounding board for his Creation E, which has that cola vibe. But either way, you know, it's something that I wanted to talk about because oud has replaced the Mysore sandalwood, the real oak moss. They've found a way to replace it with something synthetic that can be recreated in a lab and pumped out in huge quantities. I'm sure Givaudan puts this stuff out by the barrel loads, right? And whether you're this company, that company, that company, you're using probably the same synthetic oud accord, okay? Unless they say otherwise. For fragrances like the Night that sell for $1,000, obviously it's real oud. They say it's real oud. If you go and get fragrances like Arise L'Adore, he's using real oud, but he's priced, you know, you're going to pay premium prices for that. If you get fragrances like Suga, Fiona, there's 3 types of real oud in this, and he says it on his website. If you go get a Bortnikov, you know, Oud Maximus, there is real oud in this, and you can see the different oud lists right there down below in the base. This is my favorite real oud fragrance, by the way. But he is an oud distiller. That's what Arise L'Adore, that's what Russian Adam and Bortnikov started out. They started out as oud distillers who said, wait a minute, you guys aren't smelling the real thing. You're not smelling the real accord, the real ingredient. You are smelling something synthetic. We want to show you what it really smells like. And that's how they created their brands. So I say all that, and I know that was a winding road to get to the point in that whenever you wear these fragrances that I will admit are good, I enjoy wearing them, but you have to understand what you're wearing. You're wearing a synthetic impression of oud. In fact, some of it doesn't even really smell like oud. This smells like the biggest, to me, because I was born in Jordan, and I only lived there as a very short amount of time in my life, but a lot of the customs and, you know, diets and stuff like that, you know, whenever I went to my parents' house for Easter last week or a week or two ago, they had coffee with cardamom, Arabic-style coffee with cardamom. And that, you know, whenever you have cardamom, or if you have cardamom oil or something, and you put it on something, and you put it in coffee, it sometimes will form this, like, oily layer on the top, you know, like it floats. And Oud Wood reminds me of, this is my favorite cardamom fragrance, by the way, because it gives off this oily cardamom vibe. That's basically what you get with rosewood. And I've told you before, I love rosewood. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you get the oud accord, whatever that may be to you, right? But there is an oud accord. But it just creates this woody, this this ambery woody effect, right, when you smell it. And women love this stuff. You know, I've heard men walk up to Tom Ford counters and say, give me that oud fragrance you guys have that I heard about is awesome. They don't even know. They just want it because it's a popular societal thing now to say you're wearing an oud fragrance. It's the same thing with Creed's Royal Oud. I could have grabbed that one to show you guys. Creed's Royal Oud smells more like cedar to me. Doesn't smell like oud. There is a touch of that oud, that Western oud vibe, but you're wearing it to say you're wearing an oud fragrance. Now, I love that fragrance. It's one of my favorite Creeds. I think it's one of the best Creeds. It might even be put ahead of the King in my book. I love Royal Oud so much. I have a 500 milliliter flacon of Royal Oud. But if I was naming it, I would name it Royal Cedar, not Royal Oud. So that's kind of where we are at in the oud game. Now, this started in 2007. Tom Ford started it in 2002 when he was creative director with M7, and then he really kicked off the trend. It's like he perfected it with Oud Wood. And then in about 2010, it caught like wildfire. In every house, no matter who you were, you had to have an oud fragrance. If you didn't have an oud fragrance, you were out, right? You were left behind. So every house was pumping out their oud fragrance. It was the new thing. It was the new easy way to sell bucket loads of synthetic material and get, you know, people to go pay $100, $200, $300 because it had oud in it, right? So the perfumer's palette has changed. Now it's 2022. It's over a decade since the oud trend really took off and went crazy. And I think the industry is kind of searching for that next something at this point in time. I don't think the industry really knows what that next something is. This is the best-selling Tom Ford private blend, in case you guys didn't know. Oud Wood is the best-selling private blend for Tom Ford to this day. People buy this more than Tuscan Leather. They buy this more than Tobacco Vanille. They buy this more than Tobacco Oud. All that stuff. And that really speaks volumes that even though the industry is looking for whatever that next something is, I don't think they know what it is, to be honest with you. But they're looking for whatever that next something is. They're still living off of the creations like this of the past. So I just wanted to make this video to talk about, number one, I almost finished a bottle. Can you tell me when the last bottle that you almost finished is? Whenever I get to about this point, Rich, Mitch, and I were talking about this today, I get a little bit of an itch. You know, we get this itch to finish the bottle, like you just want to spray it 20 times and be done with it kind of thing. But because I don't plan on replacing this, and it is my scent of the day today, we're going to go see some of my wife's family. And so I figured, you know, I'll enjoy it maybe one, maybe two, maybe three more times. And then I'll save the bottle as a keepsake for, you know, a scent memory of when my daughter was born kind of thing. But would I be replacing this? Now that my nose has kind of matured, would I replace this fragrance? Would I buy it again? Would I go get another bottle as soon as this is gone? No, I wouldn't. I'll keep this bottle. I'll be able to smell the atomizer. The bottle will be kind of a keepsake, I guess. But for me, I don't think I would be replacing this because, you know, the real oud fragrances now that I've discovered, the Ariege Ladores, the Bortnikoffs, the Fiona, that kind of thing, they do something that the synthetic oud molecule fragrance, even though I enjoy wearing these, and even though it's easier to wear these, it's so easy to throw this on and just go. And everyone loves it. Everyone. You could go to a event out in a field where they're doing an open-air concert. You could go to an indoor classroom. You could go anywhere with this, and everyone just loves it. And that doesn't happen with real oud. Real oud is challenging. Go watch my first impression on Antiquity, and that had some real oud in the opening, and see the way that I talked about that. And, you know, those type of fragrances are, they're going to be much harder to digest by the masses. It's something that, you know, 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000 people are going to get and smell and take the time to actually break it down and understand the nuances, understand that, you know, there is good with the bad. And, you know, I won't go through the whole thing I went through with Antiquity, but if you want to watch that review, I felt like I did at least a decent job of expressing myself there. So some of these, you know, fragrances that are, like for me, One Man Show Oud Edition, I'll tell you something outrageous. Okay, this is an outrageous statement, but it's true. This is a $350 fragrance that everyone is highly sought after. You know, all the guys want to wear it to flex and show I'm wearing Tom Ford and right? This is a $10 fragrance. I get the same joy, exact same joy, same enjoyment out of wearing this as I do when I wear this. Is this worth 35 times the price? To me, no. Absolutely not. But if I didn't understand the progression of the industry and how it all got to this point, and I went and bought Tom Ford Oud Wood, and this was all that I smelled, and I got on the internet and, you know, talk down to people that said anything bad about it because they just don't understand how great this perfume is and it's the best oud fragrance ever, you know, you'd make a fool of yourself to the people who know. But that's how it goes sometimes, especially with today's world. There's so much information out there. And in order to understand a highly complex issue like this, you have to take the time to dive into it. So this isn't really as much a review of Oud Wood, although I hope I gave you guys a breakdown of what it smells like. It basically smells like oily cardamom. And look, I know this fragrance like the back of my hand, okay? This is an oily cardamom fragrance with amber wood base. I mean, that's it. It's an amber woody base with some sort of synthetic oud material, to my nose anyways. Now, if they put a drop of oud in, if Estee Lauder takes their little dropper and puts 1/1,000,000th of a micro drop of oud in there and they went, aha, gotcha, there's real oud in here. Well, whatever. I'll take their word for that if that's what they say. But I don't think they're even going to make that. I don't even think it's worth them to argue with people like me, because they'll just say, you know what? There's 999 million other people out there on the planet that will buy this, Ramsey. So if you don't want to buy it again, good riddance, right? We're Estee Lauder. We don't need you to buy this. We'll get other people to buy it, and that's fine. But there's going to be a point where people are going to demand something else. The synthetic amber wood fragrances are just jumping the shark a little bit to me. You know, this kind of DNA. I'm wearing it today, and I'm enjoying it. But to be honest, now that I've progressed a little bit further in my journey, this doesn't smell high-end to me. It doesn't smell exclusive or niche, or it kind of smells a little cheap. I mean, I still enjoy wearing it, but if you blindfolded me and put this under my nose, I might think it's this. That's the problem when you use the same synthetic molecule over and over and over again, is, you know, the associations start to get blurred. Am I paying $350 because this is a better fragrance? Or am I paying $350 because it's a Tom Ford and it comes in a little bit cooler bottle? Not even a lot cooler bottle, just a little bit. I like this bottle. I don't know how Jacques Bogart makes money. I have no clue. That is the mystery of the fragrance world to me. How does Jacques Bogart make money selling this for $10? Please, somebody tell me. I mean, the bottle's glass. The built-in sprayer is awesome. It's 100 milliliter. It looks like a 50, but it's 100. It's embossed on the bottom. I mean, even Tom Ford gives you a little dumb sticker. I don't get it. I really would like to know that mystery. So anyways, I know this video probably went off the rails, and I hope I didn't offend Estee Lauder or any of the other brands shown, because I wasn't dissing them. I was just using them as kind of an example of kind of modern oud fragrances, if you will, the synthetic ones versus the natural ones, and you'll be able to tell. I mean, the natural oud fragrances are really something amazing. If you've never smelled real oud and you've only smelled, you know, Oud Wood or One Man Show or whatever it is, I would highly encourage you to check out something like Fiona, or try to get your nose on Russian oud, or even if you've got the dough, go spend $1,000, $1,500 on the night. But honestly, you don't have to. Don't do that. Actually, I take that back. Don't spend $1,500 on the night. Go spend $300 on Oud Maximus, and this will give you the best, you know, real oud fragrance money can buy, in my opinion. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It's a little different for me, but you know, I wanted to talk about a topic that a fragrance that has a lot of different facets, a lot of different aspects to it. Because on one side, there has to be something special about a fragrance that my wife would say is her favorite fragrance from anything I've ever owned, right? I mean, there is something to that. But on the other side, why does it give me an interpretation of a $10 fragrance? Why? So it's a dichotomy. It's a mystery. It's an enigma wrapped in a dichotomy. And so, anyways, that's kind of my thoughts. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I am trying desperately to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can drop my top 100. It's pretty much done. I've decided I'm not even going to look at it. It is what it is. I'm just going to release it when it comes time and let the chips fall where they may. And it is ranked, and that has just really irked me. Like, I'm studying for my CFP exam right now, but really my brain is thinking about, is it fair to have Queer d'Orange at 101 instead of 100? You know, stuff like that. So anyways, let me know what you think. Leave a like and a comment and a thumbs up is always appreciated, but you don't have to, obviously. But the subscriptions do really help because I think it helps with the YouTube algorithm. I think it helps me compete with the big boys. I don't get free bottles sent to me. You know, these are all with my money. I bought all of these bottles. Although a subscriber is sending me a bottle very soon, so I won't be able to say that anymore. But it's not a brand. That's because you guys are just awesome. I have the best first 1,000 subs that a person could ask for. So, love seeing your faces in the comments. Leave a note below. Let me know what you think on the whole topic, whether it's just on Oud Wood, the fragrance itself, whether it's on the broader topic of oud in perfumery, or whatever it may be. And I try to respond to every single comment. So if you leave a comment, 99.999% chance you will get a response from me, and usually pretty quick. But if not, then YouTube probably hid the comment from me or something, because if I see it, I will respond to it. So cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.